Hey everybody, this is Leslie Getch with EXP. I'm here today with Joy Chandler of Goose Insurance. We want to talk to you about homeowners insurance. So this year, as Colorado is already starting to see a rash of wildfires, I've had a lot of homeowners asking me about homeowners insurance.
Sure.
Concerned about the people who were living in Boulder, Colorado and the Marshall Fire area who lost their homes. So many who have lost their homes have found themselves uninsured. One homeowner we had talked about lost their home in Boulder. It was a, $1.5 million home. And they just built it like 4 months before the fire.
That's terrible.
And it had a lot of upgrades, high-end finishes and things. And so they found out afterwards that their insurance policy was not going to cover it, that they were underinsured because their insurance company underestimated the cost to rebuild it standing as is.
Sure.
So a lot of people have been concerned about how to protect themselves, especially in light we had a wildfire warning today.
Yeah, wow, yeah.
Wildfires, So they want to know how they can protect themselves from this happening to them, because it's not just happening in the foothills anymore, the mountains, it's happening in metropolises.
Right, yeah.
So what do you suggest?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's just a great topic to really touch on right now, especially with everything that's going on here for homeowners. Really what I think is the most important thing is to make sure that your agent, whoever you've signed up with your homeowners insurance, if you're questioning these things, or really, I guess I should start with where we start out as an insurance agent whenever it comes to insuring our homes.
Okay.
So what we do is we're looking at the square footage, we're looking at the number of bathrooms, the quality of the home, if it has any kind of custom furnishing, anything like that. And so what we do is we come up with what's called a reconstruction cost estimate. Okay, so that's why you see on the insurance side, we insure the home, so what it would take to rebuild the home back to brand new, with just the cost of material, cost of debris removal, anything like that.
Okay.
And we don't really insure it to the land value because we really don't even worry about the land. We don't insure it to the market value that fluctuates all the time. So, really what we're doing is making sure that we're going to be able to cover it to the amount that's needed in the cost of raw material.
So pretty much like the structure, because the land, you don't rebuild land.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, exactly. So if you're someone, say your home is valued at $800,000 or something, and really only takes $550,000 to go rebuild your home back to brand new. If you're covering yourself at $800,000 in the event of an actual loss, the insurance is only going to pay what it would take to rebuild a home. So you're not going to see the excess of that $650,000 to the $800,000 of the market value. So really, that's really just kind of over-insurance if you're looking at something like that, right?
That's important too, over-insurance or under-insurance.
Absolutely, yeah. You want to make sure you're getting the right bill there. Right. So really what I do is I look at the quality, the details of the home, everything like that. Mm-hmm. I come up with what's called a reconstruction cost estimate, and whatever that comes back at, that's why I insure the home. Okay. So it's just really important to make sure that whoever it is writing your insurance, if you haven't had it taken a look at in the last couple of years, cost of materials are raising quite a bit. So it's just really important to kind of make sure you're always reshopping, taking a look at different carriers, making sure that reconstruction cost estimate is where it needs to be, and just be diligent about that as being a homeowner every single year to make sure your biggest asset is protected the right way.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because I think when this first happened, a lot of people were talking about, people have lived there for 20 years and they were underinsured because the property values have gone up. But this one, that example we gave, they only had 4 months before the fire. Right. So this is also an example of making sure when you start that you have the right insurance, not just for the construction cost, but you had mentioned something before about how lenders will insure the home when they're buying a home only for the amount of the mortgage.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if they're taking a loan amount for 50% of a $800,000 house, then they're only insuring it for $400,000.
Exactly.
And if they go to build it, Yeah.
Right, yeah. So that's the only biggest thing is you just want to make sure you have that piece of knowledge. As a new home buyer or just a current homeowner or anything like that, just make sure that the home is that we've done an updated reconstruction cost estimate as an agent, and that we've kind of gone over that with you, and just to be able to make sure that that's covered properly.
Okay.
And to do that every single year. So.
Oh, okay, that's good. So really just kind of touch base yearly. And so wasn't there something that you were talking about, like an extended dwelling cost to cover, and how does that work?
Absolutely. So basically what that does is it goes to unforeseen rise of cost of material. Okay, so that's what that endorsement is going to be. You can add an additional 25%. So example, if I'm, just do easy numbers here, if I'm covering your home at $400,000 and I were to add that 25% endorsement onto your actual policy, that needs to be added. But what happens here is, like we just had those Boulder fires recently, right? That's going to be one of the best examples of something that's kind of top of mind. That fire went in and it destroyed a bunch of homes. So while those homes, they all might have been written properly at the time of what it would take to build a home back to brand new, now we're seeing a rise of cost of materials because there's such a demand for that product now that all these homes have been destroyed, right, in that one area. So that's exactly what that additional 25% would go towards. So if I'm covering your home at $400,000 and I put a 25% endorsement, it's going to be I'll add an extra buffer of $100,000 on top of that $400,000 to be able to go to those unforeseen rising costs, right? So
yeah, because it's not just the cost of materials, but labor, because right now labor is short because so many people are working on all these houses because so many were affected, and there's only so many people in construction that
absolutely
that's gone up too.
Exactly right, and the insurance is also going to take care of any kind of debris removal as well. That's kind of something that's also covered by your policy.
That's important.
Just some things to make sure if you're going back and rechecking, maybe this is sparking some interest here, go back, ask your current agent, or I'm obviously, of course, happy to help anybody, but just kind of double check. Let's see, hey, how many bathrooms did you put? What quality of my bathrooms did you put it as? Is it economy, or I put some customizations to it? Did you put it semi-custom, custom, anything like that? Maybe just go back and have that conversation with your agent.
And so, the one thing you kind of mentioned earlier, but I want to make sure it doesn't get missed in the wash because we're covering a lot of information. That these people that had this insurance carrier that they trusted to estimate their insurance correctly, the rebuild costs, and they did not. It came out like 1/3. And so 1/3 of 1.5 million is they're homeless almost.
Absolutely.
So basically, what do you suggest when people are looking for a carrier to protect them from finding a carrier that is not covering them correctly like that, or figuring out the builder estimate cost? How can they protect themselves from that happening?
Yeah, so really, I think it really all results down to the agent, because ultimately we're the ones that are going into, as a broker myself, I'm looking at plenty of different carriers. You have your nationwide homes, Allstate homes, all that stuff. So just being familiar with what your carriers are. I do have certain carriers that I find that sometimes they, on average, will give me a little bit less of a reconstruction cost than other carriers might be giving. So it's really important to have a knowledgeable, experienced agent who can recognize that and say, hey, I know this carrier in particular usually kind of lowballs what it would actually take, and I know what it would actually take, and most of my other carriers would actually think it would take. So I'm going to actually make sure we insure it to that no matter what I have to do. Because I want to make sure I'm going to play it safe and make sure more overcovered than undercovered, right?
So bottom line, find a trustworthy insurance agent.
Exactly right.
And we'll get to that in just a minute. But one other thing that you had mentioned that was worth noting for those looking to buy is the people that are looking to buy in the zip codes that were affected by these fires now are considered a high-risk area or something, and their insurance coverage could be higher even though that house might not have been affected by the fire at all.
Absolutely.
How does that work?
Yeah, so really, when you think about insurance just in general, the biggest word that comes to mind is overall risk, right? They're looking at numbers. And so, same thing as an auto policy, right? You have a team driver. We all know if we have a team driver on our vehicles or something like that, it's going to shoot up. Why? Because they like to drive fast. So do I, right?
Me too.
Yeah, exactly right. So just insurance in general, they're going to go over all kinds of different factors. Now, I can go on and on forever about those, but to touch on that one in particular, if you're going to be moving into a place that is a higher risk now, that part in Boulder, that zip code is going to be considered a much higher risk now. A lot of carriers are going to put what's called a moratorium, where they're not going to even write in that area for certain parts of time.
Oh, wow.
Right? Yeah, some carriers just won't even mess with it. Other carriers are now going to start charging premium. You'll see your current carriers out there in Boulder more than likely raising the cost of insurance for next year because now they're seeing, there's been a big increase in wildfires out there. So, overall, it's a bigger risk than if you were to live somewhere else, right?
Right.
For the most part, and
Right.
so that's kind of why they look at that, and that's going to increase the premium, will give you more higher introductory premium whenever you do buy a home around that area. So it's just important to do your research and know if there's been things like that have happened. I mean, Boulder's a great area. Don't not move to Boulder, right?
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. But just know,
Boulder, yeah.
just know insurance might cost a little bit more. That's the unfortunate part.
Yeah, and that's where it's important to have a good insurance agent, a good realtor, people that can guide you through all of these things, just so that you're coming in eyes wide open, prepared.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's where I want to mention then, if you are interested in speaking with any of our trusted insurance carriers like Joey here, to just get a valuation of what your coverage is right now, or if you're looking to buy a home and would like for him to give you a quote, give me a call. Or if you're looking for a home and need a realtor to represent you, looking to buy or sell or invest, I'm happy to help you. So just reach out. My phone number is at the bottom here, and we will get you taken care of. Thanks for watching.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me, Leslie. It's been great.
Thanks for coming, Joey.
Yeah, I'm happy to make it out here. Always
Okay.
happy.
Thanks. Bye.
Absolutely.